Good evening, my people. It's my hope the weekend is a nice one. We are still maintaining our priority, that is educating you people and empowering you with the important knowledge in this life. So, for those who have not subscribed, you are just lacking a lot. And for those who have subscribed, I will always appreciate you and may God bless you. So, let's continue sharing, liking, and subscribing so that our content can reach as many people as possible in the community, and that it may help the community at large. So let's get back to our point of discussion, whereby we have been discussing about sexually transmitted infections. Sexually transmitted infections which can't be discussed without talking about sexually transmitted diseases. These two are very different, but they are like twins. You can't talk about one without mentioning the other one. So there is one big question that most of you people have been asking me, that can you contract or get a sexually transmitted infection without necessarily having what we call penetrative sexual activity? And the answer is so simple: yes, you can. And if you can, how? How? Somebody was asking me, like the case of the lesbians. He was telling me that lesbians don't usually have penetrative sex, or they use sex toys. So how do they get themselves into having a sexually transmitted infection? And in this video and the next one, I'm going to answer that question in full. So lend me your ears. So the question is, can you contract a sexually transmitted infection without necessarily having a penetrative sex? And the answer is yes. How? Here, many non-penetrative sex acts are very worth exploring from a pleasure point of view or from a pleasure perspective. But many sex havers, or those who have sex, engage in those sex acts under the assumption that STIs, or sexually transmitted infections, can only be transmitted through penetration. This myth or this understanding results in many explorers thinking they are being safe, but the bitter truth of the matter is that they have put themselves in a position whereby STI's transmission is possible. Are you confused? Are you confused? Or are you concerned? Are you confused? Or are you concerned? Don't be confused. Don't be concerned. Sexually transmitted infections can be transmitted without penetration. Sexually transmitted diseases versus sexually transmitted infections. Both acronyms or both terminologies refer to condition conditions that are primarily transmitted through sexual interaction or sexual contact. That's why they are specifically called sexually transmitted infection, sexually transmitted disease. The word sexually means there must be body contact or penetration. I hope you get that point correctly. So, a condition qualifies to be a disease without or a condition qualifies to become a disease when it has advanced symptoms. Or a condition can be called a disease when it has advanced symptoms. And that's where sexually transmitted disease come from. As we discussed previously, some sexually transmitted disease can only result from a sexually transmitted infection. That means a sexually transmitted infection might not have symptoms, but when it goes to another extent to become a sexually transmitted disease, it has symptoms. That's how this statement means. So, a sexually transmitted disease or a condition qualifies to be a disease when it has advanced symptoms, while an infection, get this clearly, while an infection applies if you don't have symptoms at all. Sexually transmitted infection particles don't hide in openings like mouth, anus, and vagina, but can live on any, get this point clearly, sexually transmitted infections particles don't hide in openings like mouth, the anus, and the vagina, but can live on any internal or external or body fluids. I hope I'm answering your question. For this reason, certain sexually transmitted infections can be spread anytime there is skin to skin contact or when body fluids spread. So, sexually transmitted infections can be spread anytime there is skin to skin contact or when body fluids spread. So, there might be skin to skin contact without penetration. So, through that way, you can still transmit a sexually transmitted infection. Or when there is fluid, maybe the fluid from the vagina or the mouth can spread and infect another person. That doesn't mean there is penetrative sexual contact. So, what segments of skin or which bodily fluids can transmit the sexually transmitted infection? Get this very clearly. What segments of skin or which bodily fluids can transmit or spread the sexually transmitted infection depends on the particular sexually transmitted infection or where the sexually transmitted infection is located or it's considered a body STI. What segments of skin or which bodily fluids can transmit or spread an STI depends on the particular sexually transmitted infection or where the sexually transmitted infection is located, or it's considered a full body sexually transmitted infection. Guys, I hope that question is getting the answer correctly, that sexually transmitted infections can be spread without necessarily having penetrative sex or penetrative intercourse. This marks the end of the video. Let's meet in the second video, whereby we will continue discussing the same. And by the end of the second video, everybody of you will have the correct answer to this. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the subscriptions. Let's meet in the next video.